Hello everyone, my name is Srishti Taneja and I am pursuing English honors and currently in my second year. I hope I'll take you through all the aspects of this short story named Intrusion, a brilliant narrative by Shashi Deshpande which highlights the significance of privacy in one's life irrespective of gender or any indifference. Let's learn about the woman behind the story, about, about the author. Shashi Deshpande, an Indian novelist, her texts are woven from Indian women's lives, their day to day living deeply impregnated by religious, social, and political traditions and gender relations determined by male power structures. With her first published novel, The Dark Holds No Terrors, she introduces this painful topic that had already been there as marital rape. In one of her early stories, The Intrusion later follows it up, The Binding Wine, and in Shadow Play. Women in Deshpande's texts are victims of circumstance, of family, and of society. Shashi and her characters. Her women characters are born out of typically Indian situation. They represent middle class society. They are caught between tradition and modernity, between family and profession, between culture and nature, between freedom and loneliness. The problems and conflicts faced by women in her stories are existential in nature. The story Intrusion is a predicament of a newly married wife whose self respect is dishonored by the unfriendly treatment of her husband. She thinks of him as an intruder of her freedom, thoughts, etc. In the male dominated society, women are oppressed and have no scope for identity. The story has a number of instances that tell us that she was oppressed. Intrusion in legal terms means to invade in someone's privacy, which is considered as a punishable offense. The particular story, written by famous writer Shashi Deshpande, is an interesting one as it describes the intrusion of husband in wife's privacy, which he considers as his right as he is married to her. Strange man in a strange woman. The emphasis on the word strange that is something that is beyond our imagination. The naive and young woman, she has her own idea of intimacy. She marries but struggles to understand the idea of whole setting as well as this man. Even when the couple reach their honeymoon destination, the woman longs to see her mother's face and sweet scent by her. We can observe that she is searching for comfort, whereas her husband only longs for sex. Hence, the question of intimacy are thrown at the reader. The woman in the particular story wants friendship before being intimate with her husband, and this thing is considered as peculiar. The married woman is the narrator of the story, and she explains the turmoil on the day of her honeymoon as to how she is made aware of her sexual role with which she is forced to identify herself. The kind of relationship both people share in marriage is something more than just being intimate. If comfort and respect is not the primary factor, then marriage is unlikely to be a success. The story throughout presents marriage as a trap from which a Hindu woman cannot liberate herself without causing the whole system to collapse. This is the harsh reality. Shashi Deshpande has included some points that might be disliked by the readers, and as a reader, we might not have eyes to see the reality. But living in this century, we all are aware that if woman speaks her mind, the whole family suffers. There is a total different mentality for women, and the story is aptly titled Intrusion. That marriage isn't a license for a husband to physically intrude into his wife's privacy. Let's learn about certain themes deployed in the novel. Marriage. The author, through the story, tries to imply the suffocating and stifled marital bond in a male chauvinistic society. Marriage here is represented more as physical than an emotional bond. The female protagonist's consideration of the intimacy between her and her husband as a marital rape and the ignorance of her husband at the same time highlights how traditional and orthodox societal norms win over one's self consciousness. Gender role prejudices is taken along how a specific gender in a couple perceives a relationship, where the male partner's desire for intimacy in any relationship is considered to be whole being or an important agenda in any association. On the other hand, the psychological being of a woman is not given any stance in the male dominated society. Also, throughout the story, the female protagonists make no room in the orthodox sociological setting. The third and the most important theme, privacy. The story does not only speak about male's intrusion over female body, but subtly it also illustrates the central theme of privacy, where one also intrudes over others' mind identity. If looked from psychological perspective, it critiques over the basic understanding of a society that marriage or any other bond gives the freedom for forceful implementation of one's opinions or actions. Instead, it suggests that privacy is the ultimate and fundamental right any individual possesses. Last, sexuality. Marital bliss is often considered to be synonymous to how sexual a couple is, but the story implies criticism against this belief. Sexuality of any individual and the freedom to express it should be devoid of any boundaries or limitations set by any bond. Thank you. You may drop your doubts or queries in the comments section.